guy, what is one guy that I can't remember his name? There's a big guy that redshirted this year. He's what we need because he's got some beef to him.
I think I had heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're standing there in the
All right, we're live. Yeah, thank you.
there, you can see that's what we needed. It's deep if he can play.
Well, it's 8:30. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Raleigh County Commissioners, March 27th, together. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment, and someone here in the chamber. Is there anyone? No. Okay. And we'll go to commission comments. Commissioner McKinley.
Okay, well, after our meeting last Thursday, I visited with Gary Fike. Filled him in on our discussion about the Fairground Task Force and informed him that he had volunteered to head the committee.
Surprise.
And
All told.
yeah. And then I talked about just in general, I didn't know this stuff going on in extension. Then Thursday afternoon, we had the county meeting, and discussion was all about the animal shelter and the animal control officers. One part that irritated me several, but
Yeah.
that they won't pick up animals in the county. They quit doing that a couple years ago, never informed us. You know,
Not know that.
yeah, I didn't either.
Mhm.
That's why when I asked them at the last time, well, how many do you pick up? And they weren't sure what the numbers were.
So just tell them that's your answer.
Now, there's the new guy running, it's after, stopped me afterwards, said, come by, I can get you more information, but you know. It's the last one, and it wasn't the same people here last year. So. That's been frustrating. And Friday I met with Amy at the Register of Deeds office and had a good discussion, learned a little bit more about the department and just kind of got up to date on what all's going on up there. And of course, I watched both K-State basketball games. Not the results we wanted Saturday, but overall a very successful season. Considering a year ago, we had 2 players and no coaches. But I think Coach Tang has us on the right path. He's on the way. We went to the met the team came back Sunday afternoon. We went out and there was a large crowd. And they learned because week before we'd gone out, and it was just a mob of people, and they couldn't hardly get out of this thing. This time they had a couple of our CPD officers, and they roped off an area where the players could come out and get to the belt where the stuff comes in on, because last time people were just, they had a little organized this year. Tang got up and said, this won't be our first time. I mean, it might be our first time, it won't be our last time we can have these celebrations. So it was a good deal.
Yeah, they did great.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Commissioner.
Thursday afternoon, I had lunch with them at TIG from Sanity Solutions to talk about some IT and technology solutions in regards to several county related items, including the public safety headquarters, maybe a few updates in here to the chamber, and just overall county cybersecurity amongst other things. So it was good to catch up with that. I mean, he's but I met at the gym originally, so we're kind of gym rats. So I have plenty to talk about there too. So good to have local partners to chat with, particularly on these type of items. Thursday afternoon, also caught the March Connecting Kansas County Zoom meeting hosted by KAC. Featured presenter was Reed Kessinger, communication specialist, environmental health survey program for KDHE. This presentation called Environmental Health Data in Action. Give an upfront view on a tracking program that conducts statewide information that's collected so it can be used, analyzed, shared, and disseminated across broad lines to all 105 counties in Kansas. The overview provided some insight on how that information is collected and tracked and how it can be used, and particularly for potential environmental hazard and public safety and health outcomes. Keep in mind, April, just right around the corner, is county government month. So I'm sure we'll have a proclamation, and there'll be some other activities and things on the horizon, as there has been over the last few years. A couple other legislative items were discussed pertinent to Kansas counties, and that sums it up. And keep in mind the KCCAA conferences in Hayes this year, the 25th to the 27th of April. Sounds like a long ways away, but it's really not. Thursday afternoon, attended the city county meeting as well, City Hall. I think it's actually the first time in a while there was somebody in attendance from all three entities. To show you how interesting this particular issue is. I actually thought the dialogue was good. The animal shelter, I think that's going to be a struggle still moving forward. Animal control, I still think that there's ways to work through that. That's just if everybody wants to work through it, I guess. But hopefully that discussion will actually just at least will start the opportunity to try to find some kind of a solution that'll at least work for everybody moving forward. Thursday night, watched K-State dispatch Michigan State in Sweet 16 round, overtime, 98-93. Quite a score. Probably the best tournament game I've watched since we played Xavier back in 2010. And it's, I don't know. They're both unique in their own way, I suppose. Friday morning, met with Jay Dima from Stantec via Zoom. He's conducting a market survey for the city of Ogden, and in particular the downtown area and Riley Avenue, as they kind of work on revitalization plans as well as updates to the road. We spoke on several different related items and the possibility of growth and development in the area as a whole. Talked about housing. We talked about and just the need for infrastructure to do all those things, and just several challenges they were facing with the street. Friday afternoon, met with former city commissioner and mayor Ed Klimak to discuss the Raleigh County update to the comprehensive plan. Talked about various other related items, good things and bad things that have happened in the past, and it's gotten us to the point where we're at, as well as both of our visions for the future of the Flint Hills region. It's a really good dialogue. He does plan on serving on the committee that's going to help us make that update. So I have somebody from a couple of different perspectives to be able to add some input on that, which I think will be probably pretty good. Late Friday afternoon, I met with Jake Middlebrooks from Congressman Jake LaTurner's office to discuss the ongoing issues and need to get Riley Avenue and Ogden fixed and maintained moving forward. Kind of work on a couple of different options, I think, including trying to get KNOT connected back to that, see if we can finally get the resources we need to make that happen. Just not a lot of avenues, I suppose. Saturday, watched K-State come up short versus Florida Atlantic. I just 8 straight times we've lost in the regional finals. I think we've made the 3rd most regional finals.
6th.
6th, okay.
But the names ahead of us are like Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, and UCLA.
2 of them were tied though. So
Yeah.
Okay. And I just we got to get over that hurdle. We just have to get over that hurdle. K-State women finished their season in Seattle, losing in the Super 16 round to Washington. Well, on good news, K-State baseball team swept Oklahoma over the weekend. And right now they're sitting at 17-8 and number 2 in the Big 12.
After losing one, they shouldn't have lost in the middle. What the heck?
That's been kind of their thing over the last couple of years. I don't get it either. So, but anyway, that's all I got.
Excuse me. Okay, well, Thursday afternoon, I too attended the city county meeting held at City Commission chambers under discussion of the animal shelter. We talked about the possibility of moving it to a different jurisdiction, possibly the RCPD. We had received a memo that morning from Director Pete on how that would affect our operations and who objects to the move at this point. 3 of the city commissioners spent most of the hour discussing both the shelter and licensing of city, county dogs and cats. what bothered me probably the most was the discussion about outsourcing those activities. And I've heard various comments about the one they talked about in eastern Kansas. It's not doing well. The people don't like it at all.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so I think it, it'd be good if they do a little bit more research on these things. So anyway, no consensus was was reached at that meeting, but everybody and the Pot County was there, which was good. They seem to be doing okay with it. Anyway, Friday morning, several staff members from our appraiser's office came by my house, checked some measurements that I had questioned, and so that's kind of interesting to go through the process. But so they came by and did measurements to get some accurate square footage. Also had a guy come over and do rototilling in my garden and my yard, and I've added some more flower space. But I was hoping to get to work on it this weekend, but that didn't work too good. The temperature went down with rain and everything else. So Saturday morning, I met with a co-member of Common Table to discuss the plan going forward with full district, which we haven't got a strategic plan yet, so we're going to try to work on that. That evening, Saturday evening, I attended the Lions Club Potato Bake event in Keats. It was fairly early, so I was able to go and watch the second half of the basketball game, which was kind of a disappointment, but it was a hard fought game. So I'm really happy with the team going forward. Sunday, performed in the Bell Park Church. We found out that our main elevator has been out for a couple months, and repair work is going to cost about $125,000 and take about 6 months. So when we look forward to repairing elevators, it's a scramble.
What you'll find is there are so many companies that do that.
Yeah. Well, there's one in Minnesota that we got, probably settled on. So, I mean, it's just, it's really costly, and they can't seem to have any parts to repair them. They have to tear things apart. So, but it is a problem with elderly people and other ADA situations. It's the one that goes to the basement and stairs. So anyway, Sunday afternoon, got caught up in household bills, chores, and reviewed paperwork and various emails for today's meeting. I just want to remind everybody that our meeting on Thursday will be in Riley at the City Hall at 6 p.m. That's it for me.
Everybody for business, commissioners? First item I have, first and only item, need a motion to approve the recommendation to appoint Debbie Nuss to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board to sign letter and resolution.
So I make a motion to appoint Debbie Nuss to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board and approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the appointment of Debbie Nuss to the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board and sign the resolution number 032723. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three signed, please. Then commissioners had a reminder, I don't know if you remember Scott Carmichael with Soil Conservation. Tried to align a tour last fall for the commissioners, and it just wasn't a good time, and he'd said to see about checking on some time in the spring for a tour of some of their projects. I didn't know if commissioners had some dates they'd like me to give to him. In the past, we'd always done it on commission day, so you do it like the end of a meeting, or something, and so, and we can block off the time now, we can conduct business till like 10 and then go do it, or we could do business all morning long and then do it in the afternoon. If there's interest.
Yeah.
There's interest.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
We've done it a few times.
I'd say probably afternoon.
Yeah, I'd rather do the afternoon.
I think it would be a little warm.
Any dates?
I'd say that. What is it? I'm gone from the 20th through the 24th, and then we're gone that next week. Days.
So maybe the first.
First week of May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a little bit warmer than we hope.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We'll work on that. An afternoon, the first week of May. They start around 12 or 12:30.
Yeah, sure.
12:30, not 12 or 12:30. I was thinking one.
Okay.
What I was
yeah,
thinking.
I guess, oh,
Well, I said that time for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that. John? Commissioners have any changes to the minutes?
long list of attendees that morning, didn't we? But I don't have it.
I'm gonna make a motion then to approve the minutes as written from the March 23rd meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the March 23rd meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? Tentative agendas look okay. Okay, next you have at 9 o'clock, Alvin Perez bid opening for asphalt seal oil.
Get it right this time.
That one Thursday night's meeting, how's internet gonna work for us?
That's what IT is working out. Is I told them we have our laptop, so IT's.
Okay.
Please, you can't get any internet in that building over there.
Wait a minute, wrong one.
Oh, is
Fire,
it?
yeah, that's the fire station.
Oh, yeah, there's-
Keep it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually.
yeah, it's,
Have them, well,
yeah.
this one is first, ma'am.
Okay.
They are back to back. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Hi, how you doing? Here for Ethel
Mhm.
or Bill Fire.
That's the charge.
There you go.
Thanks.
Answer dry.
I asked you before, because it's been on there for.
Yeah.
What the heck is this?
Good. This is the architect's estimate for the fire station, so the last.
Okay.
Last one.
Okay.
Oh, there's trouble. How you doing?
Good.
The right color today.
Well, no. Good, good.
So your old classmate got some heat from him last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is he enjoying retirement?
yeah, he's looking like he's doing good too, so yeah.
Good.
It's not good.
I made your name on the list. I hung it all over the house. Would be the slide. Oh, really?
Spring.
Wesley? Okay.
Good playing outside.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Frank could be here. We can share somebody. Get on that slip. You better not eat. Right. Yeah, well, we had a phone call. So he agreed on the price. He comes in here and asks, you know.
Yeah, Cindy Hazel, yeah, front office, maybe she can get some new ones drafted up, bring them over. Yeah. Since you know how you want it, Dan. Since you know how you want it.
Yeah. That was really cool. I know. That's what or that conversion. I think Jeff was saying it was higher than this guy. Well, last year was.
Yeah, that's frustrating. It's frustrating. I was rather contentious with them, but
Good.
not enough, but
Good. Yeah, yeah. It's got a little picture to the measure.
Yeah.
I guess you get it from different like, come see you.
Thank you. Unless they can just buy all the university.
But we're in. Good thing, right? I think other alternates too.
We're working on revising that sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had a feeling something like that was gonna happen.
Yeah, there's a whole round on that. Bitch. We're all for this.
Mm.
It is.
You know when you're gonna start up in Leonardville?
I'm sure. It's hard to get.
Because we talked about wanting to have a groundbreaking. Let us know when you're ready. Of course, we can do it anytime, I guess.
Won't be meeting up there?
Hmm?
Our meetings?
Oh, it's not
Commission.
till all this-
Oh, okay.
It's Riley's.
Right.
Leonardville's. I picked a lot. It's still.
The
It's
June.
at least 3 months ago.
Get a copy.
That means-
I might be able to.
Oh,
Yeah.
The merge thing. Is that right?
Merge.
Explain that for you.
Explain what to you?
Merge.
Greg did already.
It's something I don't get to make any money on, but I have to charge.
Sure, that's what they all say.
Do you need an explanation? Sure. Well, like for instance, Mun's hauled all our emulsion. They give us 1 hour to get the truck unloaded. And then they start charging us it's $25 every 15 minutes after that first free hour. So that's what the demurrage is. We call it $100 an hour after that one free hour.
That's an interesting word. Root of the word, endurance kind of stuff.
I've been doing this for a lot of years. I still can't spell it.
Yeah.
Use it as a Scrabble word next time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have enough letters.
I was gonna say, boy, you're not playing a really good game if you're getting to that point.
It's strange word.
It is.
Wonder if that's in the dictionary. We do a lot of demurrage in some of our meetings. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We're ready for some bids. First project is for CHFRS 2P asphalt seal oil. And the first bid is for Aragon Asphalt and Emulsions, Doug Francis. And they are located 630 South Don Meyer Road, Solomon, Kansas. We have four prices. We have CHFRS 2P price per gallon is $2.89. The demurrage charge is $100 per hour after 1 hour. Pump charge $80 per load. Returned load charge $550 per load.
No. But it's just like that.
Just like that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Bids for the asphalt seal oil, Oregon asphalt emulsions. The asphalt price of $2.89 per gallon. The merge $100 per hour. Pump charge of $80 per load. The return load charge of $550 per load.
Thank you.
Okay, this is from Coastal Energy. PO Box 218, Willow Springs, Missouri. Okay, the CHFRS 2P price is $2.95 per gallon. And the demurrage charge is $100 per hour after 2 hours. Pump charge $125 per load. Oh, and the return load charge of $1,550 per load.
Bid Coastal Energy from Willow Springs, Missouri. Oil price $2.95 per gallon. Demurrage charge $100 per hour after 2 hours. Pump charge $125 per load. Return load charge $1,550 per load.
Okay, the third bid is from Vance Brothers Inc., 5201 Brighton, Kansas City, Missouri. The CHFRS 2P price is $2.96 a gallon. Demurrage charge $70 per hour after 2 hours. Pump charge is $75 per load. And the return load charge is $605 per load.
That price on the oil from Vance Brothers and Kansas City, Missouri. Oil price of $2.96 per gallon. Demurrage charge $70 per hour after 2 hours. Pump charge of $75 per load. Return load charge $605 per load.
Okay.
Go ahead and make a motion then that we send the bids back to staff for further analysis and a recommendation.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to send the estimates back to staff for further analysis and recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Excuse me?
Have you got a new sheet?
Yeah, he does have a new sheet. Oh, yep, they're right here.
then
Got
another
the next bid at 905. There's just one column, Dan said that it needs bid, there's a base bid column. It is not on here that there will be a number for. Is that correct, Dan? Correct.
what this one is.
Correct.
And this is it.
Hands are dry. Sorry.
This was mine. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
The first bid, this is for the two rural fire stations. We have alternate one, University Park, alternate two, Ashland Bottoms. And 3 and 4, we've got University Park and Ashland Bottoms alternates. And other construction out of Amigo, Kansas. Alternate 1, University Park. Base bid is $325,295.
Say that one more time.
$351,230.
I think, those were two different numbers.
You read
Mhm.
numbers.
If you would kind of,
This, oh, here we go. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. $325,295 for the base bid.
Yeah.
Apologize. Alternate number 1 is to add University Park Station on 10 for $351,230. The alternate number 2, provide exterior wainscot panel as indicated in the drawings for Ashland Bottom Station 102. That's an additional $500. Alternate number 1, University Park Station 110, provide exterior wainscot panel as indicated in drawings, add an additional $500. Alternate 4 at base bid, Ashland Bottom Station 102, to provide post frame building in lieu of pre-engineered metal building. Is our deduction of $27,000. Okay, alternate number 5, number 1, University Park Station 110, provide post frame building in lieu of pre-engineered metal building, deduct $27,000.
First bid is from Riley Construction in Wamego. There was a bid bond attached for 5%. Base bid, Ashland Station, $325,295. Alternate 1, University Park Station, $351,230. Alternate 2, wainscot Ashland Bottoms, add $500. Alternate 3, for the University Park Station wainscot, to add $500. Alternate 4 for post frame building is deduct 27,000. Alternate 5, University Park post frame deduct 27,000.
Second bid is from BOCC Construction Company in Newton, Kansas. We do have a bond attached, bid bond. Base bid is $739,835. Okay, alternate 1, provide exterior wainscot panel as provided in drawings at $9,200.
It's got the old bid form.
Yeah, and alternate 2,
Oh,
deduct.
that isn't right.
Yeah.
Got the wrong bid form here, Dan.
What's that?
Got the wrong bid
The
document
first
here.
one is combined. For the two
Yeah,
projects,
it's-
like. Even there's no, the one of the.
That was the total, and then we have like 4.
Yeah, that's not the right bid form. That was in one of the addendums. of the bid.
Yeah, that's one that, that's, notice
And
they
two.
or the addendums, receive the addendums.
Is there anything else in there? That's all that's included?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just read on what's there and that's what we gotta put down.
Okay. These are. The following amounts shall modify base bid sum. Alternate number 1, exterior wainscot is indicated in the drawings at $9,200. Alternate 2, provide post frame building in lieu of pre-engineered metal building. There is no deduction for that.
Okay. Bid for the fire stations. And did acknowledge addendums 1 through 6. Working days. Of 165 days. A base bid of $739,835. Alternate 1. Exterior wainscot. Add 9,200. Alternate for post frame building, no. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the third bid is from Nelson Fowles LLC, Marion, Kansas. Time frame of 220 days. Base bid of $445,000. Alternate 1, University Park Station 110, add $491,500. Please. Alternate 2, Ashland Bottom Station 102, provide exterior wainscot paneling, add $4,500. Alternate number 3, University Park Station 110, provide exterior wainscot panel as indicated, add $4,500. Alternate number 4, provide post frame building in lieu of pre-engineered metal building, that's at Ashland Bottoms. And 2. Then alternate 5 at University Park Station 110, that's with the post frame building in lieu of pre-engineered, that's $70,000.
What was four? What was
4 was 70,000.
Both
And
deducts,
both
both
of them.
deducts.
Deducts, yeah.
Oh,
They do have a bid bond attached there.
It's good. Nelson Falls Construction. Knowledge ends 1 through 7. Substantial completion of 220 days. Base bid $445,000. Alternate 1, the University Park Station, $491,500. Alternate 2, Ashland Wainscott at $4,500. Alternate 3, University Park Wainscott add $4,500. Alternate 4, Ashland post frame option deduct $70,000. Alternate 5, University Park post frame deduct $70,000. It does say there's attached qualifications.
Next bid is from Results Construction in Manhattan. 210 days. Base bid of $313,000. Alternate number 1, University Park Station, $325,000. Alternate 2, provide exterior wainscot paneling for Ashland Bottoms, that's $2,300. Alternate 3, for University Park Station, the wainscot paneling, that's at $2,300. Alternate 4, provide post frame building, instead and do a pre-engineered metal building for Ashland Bottoms, that's $8,759.
deduction.
Deduction,
Say that one more time.
okay, deduct $8,789. And alternate number 5, on University Park Station, post frame building, deduct $8,789. There's a bid bond attached.
Next bid from Schultz Construction. This have items 1 through 7 acknowledged and a period of 210 days. For bid for Ashland for base bid, $313,000. Alternate 1, University Park Station, $325,000. Alternate 2, Ashland Wainscott, $2,300. Alternate 3, University Park Wainscott, $2,300. Alternate 4, Ashland post frame building deduct $8,789. Alternate 5, University Park post frame deduct 8,789.
Okay, and then we have the engineer's estimate, architect's estimate, and Anderson Knight Architects. Okay, from architect's opinion, probable construction cost for the base bid is $345,000. They didn't do the margin.
Architect's estimate from Anderson Knight. For the base bid of $345,000.
Those are all the bids we have for the two rural fire stations.
Go ahead and make a motion that we send the bid package over to staff for further analysis and recommendation.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to send the package of bids for the two rural fire stations to staff for further consideration recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Next commissioner, it's time for Corey Myers.
Yes.
Did you get a revised? If they take their rights, we don't need it. I mean, they have 500, you're on the planes. Yeah. I mean, that's
It's a wide range of stuff there.
Morning, Commission. Corey Meyer, ITGIS Director, here for a staff update and then a approval of our Office 365 licensing. The month of March, the nice thing about the month of March is spring break, and a lot of folks tend to take some time off. So this is kind of our slow month for us. So that's good. First of the year gets going and then we get to take a quick breath. But so a little recap, still working on getting fully staffed. Just having some difficulty in finding the right fit for our department. Outside of that, a lot of the standard Zoom meetings, working here with the commission. District court is complete, done, no more Wareham. That did happen a while back, but we were kind of hanging on and there was some other things. And then we've been working on helping finish some audio video remodels over in the courtrooms, doing some upgrades to sound system, the remodel of the jury box and Judge Bannister's courtroom has now been fully outfitted with screens in the jury box. And anything that's being presented over there is now seen on screen, as well as a large screen that was mounted on the wall as well. So a lot of audio visual upgrades that are taking place over there, and more to come as we're having other conversations with some of the changes that they would like to have. We are about halfway through the health department PC upgrades or rotation in replacing their machines. Budget is it's kind of a roller coaster right now. We've seen anywhere from 7% increases to even a 20% increase that are negotiated back down to 12. But we'll see if those kind of patterns continue. Our budget is one where we spend most of it in the second half of the year, not the first half of the year. So we are doing all we can right now, reaching out to all of our vendors, getting quotes, getting estimated costs for what those bills in the September, November, December might be, so that we can try to set a good justified budget going forward for the next year, and not trying to just base it on much of a guess. what they may or may not do to us on those things. We are continuing to modify our email filter. I know that for some folks, it's kind of given some headaches on some things that it holds up, but that's what happens with a new system. You got to work through it. We'll always keep security tightened too far and then begin to open it up. That's the way those type of things go, no matter whether it's websites you go to, emails that you're going to receive. You got to start with blocking too much and then you open it up. You can't go the other way because then you don't know what might be getting through that's not supposed to be. We have been heavily involved in the new public safety building, going through the IT needs and recommendations on how things will work in some of the room sizes and so forth, and that will continue, as you guys know. CASA is about wrapped up. We're ready to move out all of the rest of the furniture and parts and pieces that nobody grabbed onto. So I'll work with Public Works getting those things moved. Adibus, I've mentioned before, is going through a remodel. So we are involved out there in helping from their IT needs. They purchase all their IT equipment, but we do put it in and install it as they are on our network. And so they work with us, and we appreciate Ann and all her staff up there. They're really good to work with. They are also going to move off of using Riley County email because they do want to get themselves all on the same email. So they will have a FHATA or FHATA.org email addresses for all of them. So we are working with a group that they have that's going to be managing their email going forward and getting a transition of their emails to them. We had one or two more sites to finish testing for the remote commission meetings since I was in here last, but all sites are tested and ready to go, and what equipment we might need versus some that have a sound system, some we need to take to, and so forth. And of course, you have your first one this Thursday.
How are we going to be connected to internet while at those meetings?
So we have tested or asked if they have an internet already there, and we have the wireless password and so forth. So when you get there, we will get you all connected immediately. If not, then it would be off of MiFi that we have that we will bring to the meeting. At the meeting, I'm sorry.
Early, you need all of us there prior so you guys can have your work done on our stuff. That way we all know.
If we could get 20 minutes, that would be good. Yeah.
Just
That'd be
wanted
good.
everyone to be on the same.
Yeah,
page,
we'll
'cause I
be
think
there
that gives
earlier
us
than that, getting connected to TV. Riley has a TV that will present information to. Others will have to take a screen and a projector and have set up. But yeah, Riley's is a smaller room, so we won't go with a sound system there. Leonardville's a pretty larger room, but they do have a sound system already there with a mic. And then Ogden's will be different. Their room is a funky shape in where their largest space is, but it will work out. The interesting to Ogden might be that large row of windows that they have on the west side, and we'll see how the sun sets on that, how that presents things. So we may have the air conditioner cranked up high for that one as it heats the room possibly, but everything's going to work well. All the rooms are ready. So
That's in October, isn't it?
that one's later.
Yeah. So we should.
Yeah, so, yep. As I mentioned, CASA and Adibus as far as Office 365. So CASA is completely done as far as the technology side goes. There's nothing left there to take care of. And then working with Adibus on their email transition. Courtroom audio visual, as I mentioned. The treasurer's office will be doing a temporary move to the second floor. Our IT office and so forth, but we'll be making that move this Friday for their offices to have carpet and paint and so forth done. So that's going to be fun.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah, that's the word we'll go with.
That's what you call it.
Yeah. Put a smile on our face. It's fun. No, it's exciting. They'll get a refresh. I think everybody likes it when they have new carpet, new paint, and that feeling in there. So yeah, look forward to that. Ambulance Wi-Fi testing. So we've been doing some testing in the ambulances with different equipment so that they have a broader range of access with their tablets or laptops when they go on a scene. So we've been doing some testing with that. It's something that's still ongoing. Just something I thought I'd mention, but it's equipment that'll go in and antenna capabilities so that they can get a really broad range and they're working outside of the ambulance and stay connected. So we're looking into some of those. Some additional things, we're all ready to go with the Leonardville EMS station. We have all of their equipment that's ready and for us to put in when that time comes. I'll make mention of it. It's a conversation piece I'd like to have with you at some point in time, but we're getting to the point where this projector is quite old and really at any time might say, hey, I'm done and ready to retire. And so we need to talk about what we would like to do in this room. And that conversation, maybe even to the depth of is that a rearrange? Is, what's your thoughts? What's your visions for your meeting room here and what we would do? And I have the interest of going away from projector altogether and going more with a larger screen TV, which will give us a lot better color quality, a lot less times where we have to dim the lights and some of those kind of things as well. So I do want to put that on your radar to be able to have a conversation with you and where you think as far as ideas of layouts or changes or what you might have an interest in there. GIS, very busy in a variety of things, but mostly they've been busy with a new it's called Panda Parcel Fabric, and it's just in a way that allows them, as they make a change, the parts and pieces of the map move automatically with the changes that they make. And so they have been going through their training on that. They're ready to start implementing that into things. And as I heard from Sherry last week, she goes, oh, I can't wait till this is done, because if election changes come up again like they've had, it'll make things so much quicker on our part, especially when state tends to drag their feet on some things and then give us info and then say, oh, can you have that done tomorrow? But we are also preparing for a major version upgrade of our Esri software. And so that is preparation being done on the back side. We have a test environment that GIS uses, and so they'll upgrade the test environment first and go through that and make sure it's all working before they do that upgrade to our live environment. And we're very fortunate that our setup for technology is virtual setup as far as servers go, which allows them to do that testing ahead of time. And so we know what we might have or run into. It's also a piece we've recently done for the appraiser's office is set up a test environment of servers for their application as well, so that they can work on model changes or they can work on changes in the test environment and know how it affects things. So really glad that we're able to do that for the departments that we have and work with, so that they can do some trial and error versus, open to see what happens in the live. Trying to get us closer to back on track. The other item that I have for your approval is the Microsoft 365 licensing. Really, this is an annual renewal. So our Office 365 licensing, your Word, your Excel, your email, all those things, we pay this on an annual basis. The amount this year is $80,355. That's up $4,000 from last year. Last year's was $76,000 and some change. Obviously, by policy, you got to come forward here. It's over 20,000. But I would say that if we don't approve and move forward with, then we don't have those pieces that are necessary function for what we do. It's not one, and it's one that's in my name, but I could go ahead and sign and process it on forward. But I did want to come forward to you first and let you know that it's that time of year. It's actually up in May, but I like to get it done ahead of time. The way it gets processed through, and then it takes roughly 2 to 3 weeks for Microsoft to process it, and then it show up our licensing. So that's why I'm going to be 2 months ahead and not, a month ahead, and just the way the times go. This is in my budget. It's in my budget every year. It's through the same vendor that we worked through last year, which is Converge One. They're a company we work with on a regular basis for Microsoft and a lot of our security products. And so then the breakdown that we have is 1 year's worth. These are the 3 different license types. They just are functionality based on what our users need is what those are. Again, so I would ask for your approval that I move forward with that.
No? Okay.
No, let's consider.
Yeah, we'll just shut everything down. We're done.
We don't wanna do that.
Take it away.
No,
Like it.
I don't disagree on that either. Sometimes it's, I tell you, when it's the evenings and the weekends, I like to turn off the technology and just get away.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it through all information technology.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this is only for 5 days a week, right?
yeah. We're gonna up our paper game. We'll go to all.
Yeah.
No.
Let's go back to Matrix.
Go.
Been there, done that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we approve the purchase of the Microsoft Office 365 licensing renewal through Converge One.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of the Microsoft Office 365 licensing renewal through Converge One. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good. Commissioner, next we have Amanda Webb at 9.
Quick question, how would you like me, or would you guys like me to send an email as far as like room and those kind of things, what your thoughts are for technology and those, or would you like me to just schedule some time?
Yeah,
Schedule time with
Okay.
all of them. That
Okay.
way they don't hear the same thing.
Okay. I'll do that. All right, okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Sign on this.
Do not, Corey said he has the authority on that one under his name to sign.
Yes.
This is you guys giving him authority to proceed.
Yes, it being a renewal,
Yeah.
yeah, it being a renewal, sign and go. Okay, great.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
I like the idea of everything. Yeah, we looked at that. And the lights. We could maybe do the warm lighting in here as opposed to this, right? Seems so close. Another one out here, but one's not. This was the same thing. It must be.
Sit from that, you can feel the wind.
The wind coming right through it. I was there with them.
On one hand, it's like, God, I still like it. I was hoping to get out of this someday, but we didn't.
It saved us some money, still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's neat to look out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to see that. You buy. Yeah, you know, it doesn't the doors.
I suppose that would be an extra suit.
Right there.
Although they go. Can't even reach it. Sounds like in my office.
They'll probably just as well. We don't have the lots of people like.
It's 9:40.
Okay.
Time for
Is
Amanda.
it time? Oh,
I'm just wondering what-
we're just looking at the windows.
Well, don't look too hard. They're gonna fall
Oh,
out.
these have been replaced.
It's pretty
They're insulated glass.
That
That's window. But these back here are getting double ends. Wood.
They aren't actually frosted. They aren't actually frosted.
They're just dirty.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Amanda.
All right, good morning, commissioners. Amanda, my planning director, here to give our monthly update on our comprehensive plan update, kind of what I've been up to the last few weeks since we talked in February. So a few things have been going on. I have reached out to a wide variety of folks that will go on our TAP committee, if you will. I'm calling it the Comprehensive Plan Committee, but it's that same idea, the technical advisory group. In the packet I included, it shows the groups, organizations, agencies that I've reached out to so far, who I've heard back from so far. And then I also included, it's up on the screen right now, email that I sent out to everyone, so folks can see what I'm letting folks know, to get them ready, basically. There are, as I show in your packet, there are a few other groups and entities that I need to continue to reach out to. There's, you are looking for contact information, email addresses, those sorts of things. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. I'm envisioning this group starting with us basically end of May, early June, so we have a little bit of time to get people engaged, thinking about it, and kind of just determining how we want to structure those committees and how we want to work that. So, so again, I've heard from a handful of people so far. Everybody's excited and interested, so that was nice to hear. Again, hoping to hear from more in my email that I sent out. I just asked folks to get back to me about April 21. When I sent the original email, that was about a month. I figure it takes people time to, decide who and what and all of that sort of stuff. So I wanted to give people some time to think about it and, choose the person that they felt was the best person to represent their agency, organization, or group. So have a little bit of time for that. And again, as you can see on the screen, there's still a few people that I'm, in terms of the developers, ranchers, those are ones that we had utilized with our Vision 2025. So honestly, I'm just kind of trying to figure out who essentially to reach out to, at least to kind of get that started. The other ones I have names, I just have to find emails and whatnot. Just figure it's easier to send a message rather than people. So if anybody has any ideas about developers, ranchers, maybe start with.
You have any ranchers or farmers currently? My first thought is John Wayne.
And he was my thought too. He's on our planning board, so I'll probably check in with him. He's a pretty good source, so that's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, he'll let you know what he's thinking anyway.
That is for sure. Which is what we want, so. Yeah, so I'll definitely check in with him, if he's got any suggestions. Of course, he's on planning board, so that would be his role, so he wouldn't necessarily be able to, but hopefully you have something that I can reach out to.
Now, there would be, I see you have the Aggieville Business Association. Do you
Yes.
need to include the downtown?
So, yes, so on the table in your packet, those are everybody I've sent out to so far. And of course, downtown Manhattan, Westwood were on there. I have their email addresses. I just haven't been able to find Dennis's email address yet, honestly. So that's why he has it and maybe Commissioner Ford has that.
I do.
Perfect. And so that's why I just haven't had, a chance to get in touch with him yet, but I was able to get in touch with the other two entities because I have their, addresses already. And then we talked last time about how we're going to utilize the committee members. So thinking again, we'll have one big committee, of course, but the main group, and then we're going to break into subcommittees essentially. And what I have there is a list of probably the likely categories. They're very broad, of course, as you can see. And we can probably tailor those and move them around as we need to. But these are, of course, a lot of the major sections of the plan that it would be good to, again, break those folks into their area of expertise or area of interest to target their conversations and discussion to these particular topics. And then the group, the greater group can have those discussions, then make recommendations to both of our planning boards and of course you folks as well. Any questions or thoughts on any of the TAC information? That's good.
That's
It's like some contact.
Dennis's.
Thank you. All right. So that's, again, that's something I'll continue working on this week and next to finish getting in touch with those folks, so they're aware of what's happening, hopefully to get somebody. Committed to forward there. Committee, I should say. So moving along, so a couple items in the packet are just drafts. Right now, I wanted to, of course, have discussion with folks before anything went out the door or went out for public consumption. This is our request for qualifications for our consultant for assistance, of course, with our comp plan update. We've talked about this before. As you can see, there's a little bit of information like in the background of the other places I need to fill in, of course. Just the census data wasn't cooperating with me on the day I was writing this report. So I will get those, of course, filled in before anything goes out the door. So. And the other thing I'm thinking, once you folks are comfortable, I'll make the changes and bring a final version, of course, to you before it would be issued anyway. And I don't really want to wait until so I have time on your fourth Monday every month to have updates and discussions on this. We don't really want to wait until the end of April to finalize this and get this sent out. So I'll probably get time on the agenda within the next week or two to make sure you guys are okay with it before it goes out the door. If you weren't already aware, this is one of those that you folks will be involved in the selection committee for the consultant. So it'll be pretty much the same as what we did for the public safety building, that kind of idea. Of course, it'll be me, you folks, and there'll be other folks that I'll get from different departments involved in our selection committee. So just so you know that that's the process that it will go through. And then once this is finalized, I'll be able to plug in the dates as to when the RFQs are due. So I don't have that information in there until we can finalize. Just looking over some of the different tasks that I am thinking the consultant would be involved in. They don't necessarily need to be involved in every single aspect of it. I think there's a lot that we can do ourselves, but there's also a lot that they can help us facilitate and help us work through. And those are our public outreach, our committee coordination, facilitating those conversations with the committee and the subcommittees, compiling and helping reach out to the public and those different engagement opportunities that we're going to use for the public. So helping us with that. Getting all of that information put together, updating our demographics and socioeconomics, all of those different, that basic technical information that we have in our plan. And our current future land use, we'll have them do basically a land use inventory, everything that's existing, essentially all of the different zoning that's existing now, what's on those properties, etc. That would be our current land use inventory. And then based on all of that, including the population projections, recent developments, economic plans, all of that will then be used to make our future land use plan. But we'll talk a lot more about that as things go on. Just kind of wanted to give an overview as to what I'm thinking the consultant would be most helpful with in the process. And then something Commissioner Ford and I talked about is that last bullet point there, evaluating our county facility space needs. And Commissioner Ford, I just want want to make sure what I have there is okay. I know we kind of talked specifically about RCOB. I don't know if there was other buildings we wanted to include. I know not necessarily the court buildings, of course, courthouse and that whatnot, but just want to make sure I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, I think we need to evaluate the entire umbrella.
I think you work too.
So everything downtown, basically.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
When you said non-court, you just meant the two courthouse buildings over here, right? Courthouse and the, okay.
Yeah, but if we want to do everything. that can-
Yeah.
Yeah, the court's got problems too. It will. Just get it.
There's constant infrastructure problems over there as far as technology and wiring.
Well, it's the way people have to work. Everybody's getting together, not separate tasks.
Yeah, I know the dual jury selection is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure to include everything on there. And then of course, most of the RFQ is pretty standard stuff. We'll attach I'll work with, of course, legal to put together the county contractual provisions, of course, that we include with all of these different things. The budget, like we talked about, we have the 25,000 CIP funding for this year. And then the potential for additional funding for next year. Didn't want to necessarily put a dollar number in there right now, because I wanted to see what the consultants can propose to us and kind of what they're thinking in terms of their dollar amount based on what we're asking for. So we know we have the 25,000 for this year, the 23 budget. And then we talked about doing more for next year during the first budget.
I think we had a total of 50,000.
And that's
we
what we
split it up,
talked about. Yeah, that's what we originally talked about. And I just kind of wanted to be careful in my, I didn't necessarily want to give an exact number, if that makes sense, because probably then, okay, we're going to use all of that, you know. So I kind of wanted to leave it with the potential, but a little bit loose, if that kind of makes sense. So.
Just be sure if you need additional monies to let Daryl know on the budget radar.
Right, thank you. And so we have our timeline here, and of course it's blank right now until we kind of finalize the RFQ before it goes out the door. Of course, I'll populate those fields so we know then what dates we're working towards there. Of course, I have the submission requirements. Again, all of this is pretty standard, what we're requiring, what we're asking folks to submit with their proposal. This sort of stuff that will look through copies to me, questions to me, then our evaluation criteria. And then I talk about our screening process, as we talked about. The selection committee will be comprised, of course, of you folks, myself, and others from other departments. And then a few disclaimers that will probably have to be modified a little bit, but they were included in ones that have gone out from the county before, so just put them in there kind of. So, and that's the end of that. Any questions, comments on that one? All right, so I'll make a few of the updates as we talked about, fill in the pieces that I didn't have information for, make the updates that we talked about with the tasks the consultant will be responsible for, and then bring that back. Hopefully next week before you folks to make sure you're good with it before it gets issued. Next part, and this is also a draft for right now, is our survey. So this is kind of our first initial public survey, basically, that I'd like to go out sometime this spring. It's something that should happen early in the process. Just kind of getting people in general, public in general, thinking about all of this, giving us their initial input, their initial thoughts, what they want to see, some information about themselves, all of that sort of stuff. This is kind of our first part. Now, there's definitely a lot of tweaking that still needs to be done here, and, you know, some of it, I have lists of things that maybe need to be expanded on things. I just kind of wanted to get some of the content up here, some of the different questions. You know, different topics that I want people to be thinking about, answering, and giving us their thoughts on. I wanted to be careful about not making it too long. And I feel like it might already be pushing a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So I'm, and I need to work with Vivian on that. She always has great ideas for getting information from people without, you know, bogging them down with lots of questions. So I'm sure she can help me think on that one. I wanted to make it well-rounded and want to ask a variety of different questions. But again, still trying to be conscious of how long it is, because people aren't gonna wanna do something that's gonna take them more than a few minutes, and this probably could. So yeah, so certainly just kind of thinking about how we can still get this information from folks, but you know, not make them have to sit down for an hour. Or, you know, even more than 30 minutes. I mean, people really don't want to spend more than 5-10 minutes on these things, really. And I mean, that's fair, you know, people are busy. So if there's any questions in here that you folks think, yeah, we need to keep those versus, you can maybe cut that off for now. And that doesn't mean this is going to be our only chance to get input from people. This is our first survey out there, our first initial survey, getting people thinking about things. So if we want to, you know, cut it down some, we can definitely do that. And then just know kind of during the process, we'll be having these discussions you know, with the public and maybe a separate survey, separate discussions, separate meetings, you know, things like that. Again, I was just kind of trying to cover all the bases, but again, I know what it's a lot, so. Any questions, thoughts, comments? What I have so far.
On the housing types, you're saying ADUs, which is dependent. What is an ADU?
Accessory dwelling unit,
Okay,
yeah,
if you could say that out and X out the
Absolutely.
mother-in-law granny flats.
absolutely. Yeah, again, it was a placeholder for me. No,
Single, it's one level living basically.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that, yeah, that extra. Part of that. So, yes, absolutely, we'll modify that to make more sense. So, and there's probably other housing types that we can add or even remove. Just kind of have this.
They probably get a lot of affordable housing needed.
Yes.
on the-
Yes, and I originally had
Whatever that is.
affordable housing as a housing type, but
It's,
I took it off because I think that's just a topic that we're gonna need to talk about. Because affordable housing can be. all kinds
any one of those
different-
things, technically.
Right, exactly,
Unless you're talking about complexes.
right, yeah. Yeah, specific to that, so. The other thoughts or, again, I can chat with Vivian on this and kind of whittle it down and bring it back. Again, it's nowhere near ready. I'm not putting this out the door anytime soon. Again, not anywhere before you folks are comfortable with it, so. I just kind of wanted to get it in front of you, what some of the different things I'm thinking of, questions to ask, topics that we know are important, not just in our community, but really all over the place that, you know, a lot has happened in 10 years that, you know, we never contemplated before, so there's a lot to cover.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work it down a little bit.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I had a lot more questions than I would have done too, so
Yeah.
still working on it. So I mean, you just really want to get as much information as possible from people, but of course, asking them way too many things, you're not gonna get anything from them, so.
People are taking a lot of surveys these days.
And-
Not
yeah.
taking them. Or not, yeah, or not taking them, yeah, that too.
I started it on some and after that certain amount, I go forgetting.
Exactly.
Same.
stuff.
Well, same,
Will the comprehensive plan be looking at healthy food, childcare, broadband, those kinds of things too?
I mean, all of those different sorts of things. I mean, a comprehensive plan really is that, it's
It
that
has all that.
rounded look at, kind of where we're going, growth and development wise, and all of those different things to impact.
Because
These are
there's a
new-
lot of
these are-
those surveys going around.
These are new items that weren't really part of the 2025 plan, so in order to really understand where we're at and where we're going, yeah, you're gonna have to ask those.
Have all those things. And maybe we can use other all these things are being surveyed.
Right.
A lot of people.
Right, and I've been thinking about that too, because yes, there's been a lot of surveys out the last year or two, and people just get kind of tired of them. So, and yes, there are other surveys, there are other plans that people are working on or have, recently adopted that we can definitely take information from. Great.
Just some names for the commission to think about, and people to serve, Dan Knight. I don't know where an architect fits in, but he lives in the city, he owns property in Keats, trying to think of people that are active and have different aspects. I mean, Kelly Adams is a realtor that's highly engaged in the community. For names, I don't know what box they check for any of your appointments, and then Mark Basham. I think it'd be enough, so just throwing names out to consider. And ultimately, it's for the board, but just names to think about, but I know those people are regularly engaged in city and county government
No,
on a
absolutely.
broad spectrum.
And that's what we're looking for, as much different perspective as we can find, so.
I mean, on 12 and 13 and 14, I'd almost be remiss to say that the question you asked in number 6, what do you feel are Raleigh County's top 3 challenges?
Mhm.
Those aren't gonna all end up there.
Probably cover that.
Yeah,
You do it for it, i.e. Midwest.
Yeah.
I was also
Do that.
thinking on number 3, where you talk about which township you live in. Instead, well, and they may or may
Pretty
not,
outside of it, yeah.
but
Yeah, that's,
you might add that as a secondary question to number 1 there on. Or it says, I live outside of the city limits, but within Riley County, and if they click that one, then it takes them to that question.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it is kind of a moot point. And I would say number 9 is a very long-winded and very confusing question for probably 2/3 of the population easily.
it is.
Type.
Yeah, it's a tough one
Yes.
to ask, because obviously we want to know people's attitude toward growth and development. Obviously, we're a very rural, ag-centric community. So I originally had a question, I don't remember exactly how I said it, but basically, what are your thoughts on growth and development or whatever? And I just worried that it made it seem like the plan is to, get rid of all the ag and get rid of all the rural and, develop everything as much as possible, which of course, is not the intent. But yes, you're right. That question is too long and too complicated. So we'll have to kind of figure out a better way to ask that with having some background to it. Don't want to just kind of ask, what are your thoughts on this? Because I don't think it's gonna give us what we need if we don't have the background. I don't want to scare people either, thinking, we're just gonna come in and taking your ag land and doing this and that.
But it's gone it was the other way for a long time, saying we don't want it, we don't want development anywhere.
Right.
And that created Pot County, Blue Township.
Some of my thoughts, interesting, as I've traveled around and seen these solar fields, and I just recently saw them in prime till art and agricultural ground. Now, to me, I think you gotta be careful, but I was just amazed that when it was obviously, they just put pencil to paper, the farmer said, and in that state, it wasn't in our state. That state says, that farmer says, I can make more money doing it, but that really surprised me, prime agricultural tillable crop ground. I think those are the kind of things you gotta think about, and look at.
Right.
Wind farms was a huge issue here at one time,
Yeah.
It still is.
in Riley County
Oh.
specifically.
Wind farms and solar farms.
Agreement that we have.
That's how that was all brought about.
No, that's what- that too.
So I mean, it's that balance, of course, we know that the majority of the county is still gonna remain rural, still gonna remain high focus, that's just how it is. But it's that balance between we are growing and we do need to consider that, you know, where the best places are for that to occur and. All the different pieces that kind of go along with that, so.
Um. On number 8 there. We might put industrial / manufacturing.
Yeah, that was not a complete list, so I appreciate that.
Mm. Might also put technology / medical. I don't think in bioscience, I'm trying to incorporate both pieces of that, but
Well, maybe bioscience, I think, when people think medical, they think human.
Yeah.
And we're not, we're more agricultural. A lot of issues.
And you can't put everything on a survey, those would be things that you could do to your group, you know, talk to them about.
Yeah,
And you have other things described there as well.
true.
yeah. Yeah, just two prompts, but yeah, I give them a chance to go.
But I think that needs to go, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll get this in front of her and. Take the suggestions you first gave me.
She'd love to do it.
Yes. Any other questions, comments about anything we've talked about?
I think so.
So I'll target next week for getting the updated RFQ back in front of you folks, and then the survey, probably sooner than later as well. So you want to get that. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brenda. Have a good week.
You too.
Next, Commissioner, we have plans to open at 10:10 with the executive session.
I wrote it down, but then I said, I just forwarded an email that I had from Dennis to you.
I sent it to you too. So, did you say you were having problems getting a hold of Riley County Farm Bureau?
I don't have a contact name.
Okay, I've got that one too. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If
Thank
you have any other ones, just let me know. I may be able to help you on that.
Okay.
Copy.
Thank you. Good. Morning.
We brought everybody, the entire cavalry, you know?
Bring back.
Trying to talk Elizabeth into going to a baseball game on April 5th with Nebraska versus State.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds
Nebraska.
great, except it's April 5th. I feel like I'm kind of a weenie in the cold.
Yeah, but
Player.
here it could be 70, it could be
Yes,
40, you know?
40 will be a problem.
Is Nebraska a very good baseball team?
I honestly, I don't know.
They used to really.
Yeah, they've had a good solid history, but I.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had a
they
good
have.
ceremony over the weekend. They retired Darren Ernstad and I can't remember his first name, Roman, he was a
Full 20 Clancy,
relief pitcher for a while, and Alex Morton.
15?
Yeah.
Threw me a curveball. Keep me on my
Yeah,
toes.
Casey Fields is he playing.
Yeah, I'd like to go. I just wish I could.
Fix it.
Especially good if you go on dollar hot dog night.
I know some guys that might like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, she was going to be.
Are you?
I don't have to be if she is.
Yeah, you have to be because
I know you got me on the
No,
list, right? I'm sorry, Quincy.
No,
I
that's
thought
okay.
maybe she should come because sometimes
no, that's
we
fine.
have these things and I'm not present, so
That's not.
sorry, make edits. I should have emailed you.
No, that's all right.
Threw you right for, you threw him for a loop and I threw you for a loop. Sorry about that.
Michelle will be here as well.
Yes.
Job.
Payroll, benefits, and employee relations manager. I know.
Longer the better.
Now you're throwing me for a loop because now I'm forced to try to figure out what he's writing.
Yeah, good point there.
employee relations
Manager.
manager. You sure that's all?
Yeah.
They gotta give you more to do.
I'm just gonna abbreviate it.
Use an acronym.
Don't do that. Catherine hates acronyms.
I'll make a copy of that.
I think I got it.
Well, I know you know the time, but
I
I haven't learned the new.
was gonna say, maybe not, I'd have to look, it's a long one.
It is a lot.
On listed plus whatever Elizabeth says.
What, those other duties as assigned, right? We all have those.
It's time.
Okay, Clancy.
just the executive session. Please.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move the county commission, including Chairwoman Folke. Messed that one up.
I did.
You did.
Yeah,
You left me out?
I'll get over
We duplicated Greg.
Oh,
So.
It's going by.
Woman McKinley.
it. Oh, yeah, Greg, I was supposed to tell you.
They just said, vote, commissioners.
I'm also not for sure what vice Ford means, but we'll go with that one too, I guess. And Commissioner McKinley recess into executive session on a performance manner of non-elected personnel to protect the privacy of the employee, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act with Nancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, Attorney for the Commission, and Elizabeth Ward, Human Resource Manager, and Michelle Reed, Payroll and Benefits and Employee Relations Manager. I remember that. The open meeting to resume the County Commission chamber at 10:25 a.m.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session until 10:25 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
State over this. I'm aware of that.
You're back.
We're back.
I'll go ahead and move that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll also move that the record reflect action shall be taken consistent with the assistance reached in executive session.
No second.
It's been moved and seconded that consensus was reached and agreed to in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Raleigh County Counselor. We go quickly through the project list. This is updated. And the last time you saw it, all italics on new material. And then scroll down to our lines. Some of these, again, there was some older entries to provide context. to some of them. But I think most of the additions are probably self-explanatory. If you have a question, then you know, feel free to ask. Seeing none, we'll move on. Certainly, if you have questions after, if you want to ask after the meeting, just contact me individually. And we have under the which Christian Church. Of course, a recent meeting, the board approved proceeding with an appeal. The decision by the district court in that matter, the finding action of the state board involved. The sport sites review board and certain of its officers did engage in an illegal decision when they placed the property in the Kansas written workplaces. The legal services still working out some of the issues related to those services for the upcoming year. And this is just a small piece of legislative matters, but most of them I think you're familiar with or we're aware of what the position of the county was, certainly, and as it's been relayed. And the most recent entries involved working with the PIO and the county appraiser and press release. We're struggling a little bit with it only because we want to make it as concise as possible. It does not depend for the group as we work on it. We're not trying to beat legislative action on this because it appears there is going to be legislative action. But we're taking the approach. This is the beginning of a press release and public statements from the county's perspective, assuming this does get through and ends up as a statewide matter for the voters to decide on this. We think it's time to get out there, and also, quite frankly, if citizens locally see or other counties see it and believe they need to contact their legislature, they certainly will be invited to do so. We'll see what happens. Depending on the day of the week, I mean, probably more or less optimistic about that. We are following through on working to replace in the upcoming vacancy of the deputy county councilor position. Hiring someone to take that position and be trained for a little under 5 months, I think, at the time they came on board. We don't have anybody in the position yet. Had some meetings with the county appraiser's office on various exemption issues, requests to the department head. And there were some entries there about that contract that was put into place. That's a little bit outdated in terms of, again, the context to assist with the backload. In some cases, the county attorney was holding off on because they were lower level crimes, but important, and therefore the contract was put in place to bring someone on board to help push those cases through the system and get victims of those lower level crimes resolution on their cases. As the high level companies. Most recent thing on the emergency management services would be the expiration of the most recent local disaster emergency declaration. They'll build up. Maybe that'll be the only one we have. If you have questions on anything on that list.
I didn't see it, maybe it's that the Engine panel, you have the RFP letter. Is being reviewed by, where is that?
It's been approved in terms of, the courts are comfortable with it.
Okay.
So that'll be a starting point. The next step will be developing, quite frankly, coming up with compensation that will be offered. And then it'll be ready to go because the rest of the contract is final. We just need the board needs to decide what sort of compensation method is going to be used and how much to be offered. Nothing necessarily. We've got to have applicants. We've got to have people willing to do the work under the terms of the RFP because that RFP is going to be part of the contract. But there's more detail in the contract itself, as you might expect. It identifies things like what specific expenses are going to be reimbursed. That kind of thing. But certainly the more, the expectations in that RFP are that everything in there is going to be part of the deal for anybody to sign. It's not for future, it's not for further negotiation. That's not the concept. That's all I have unless you have further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Adams.
Sorry, David, I cheated you out of remember.
On the last item on the agenda, so.
You've got an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Okay, technically you're not, we have an intergovernmental luncheon, but
Well,
you got a full.
Yeah, we gotta get there.
Yeah, lay it out.
They have an hour and 15 minutes.
great.
But you don't get that long.
She does have that authority.
We've got a buzzer over here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trap door.
Yeah.
There
You're done with someone?
you lose.
you go. And I don't even know what's underneath me, so.
I do, you won't like it.
I'm afraid of it. Jeez.
at least this time you probably dry.
Yeah, so far, yeah, it's early enough. Probably.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, EMS Ambulance Director with my monthly update. I'm a week late as I was out of town last week, so starting right off, operations, we had 420 calls for service in the month of February, with 13 in North County. Both of those are about typical. So maybe a little down at North County, but as you know, those things just kind of fluctuate quite a bit. Break down by calls per station, nothing out of the ordinary here. 142 at our headquarters, 113 at the Manhattan Fire Department at Littleton Points, 76 at the Public Works, 71 out at the airport, which includes Ogden and southwest part of Manhattan, and ALS first response in Leonardville, we had 8. So the rest of the calls are event standbys and supervisors who are writing reports. Continue to work on new building construction related topics. I believe we have another meeting today at 1:30 with BHS, and then Arc Images is going to zoom in to that. So I'm looking forward to that after our last meeting and after speaking with the commission to see what they have for us. I know they've made some significant changes, it sounds like. So looking forward to see what that is. So we're still plugging along. So most of the expeditions have arrived. The first one has been online for a month. The second one is still for radio shots. I reached out to them. Our supervisors have been in touch with them. I reached out last week and said, okay, it's been there for 2 months. And this is a big project. So they assure me it'll be done by end of business tomorrow. So but I think they're struggling just like everybody else with staffing and such. And that's kind of a special part of that work is, you know, taking things out, no big deal, but part of putting things in and collecting them, connecting them and testing them is kind of a specialized project. So, but we should get that back next week. The federal cost reporting is being finalized. Josh is working hard through that. Again, county staff, you know, can continue to give us that information we need. And it's really important to say that how well this county runs, because when he says, hey, I need this information, there's somebody who can pull that data for him and really pretty quickly. So really appreciate those, everybody from the clerk's office to the treasurers to public works, all of those. I mean, when he's ready for that next segment, he reaches out to him and he gets it within, maybe a day or two, because, they have to run reports and stuff, but very, very much appreciative of that. And he's working through that 500-page document. So, they keep, the federal government keeps having webinars because questions are coming up and everything. So he's jumping on those webinars, listening to, oh, yeah, that was the question I had, or, oh, no, that's not applicable to us, but it's still good information. So our hiring process that you allowed a couple of weeks ago is now in process. We do have 2 days of testing on Wednesday and Friday for this week. We've got, I believe, some pretty good applicants for full-time, and then PRN, with the PRN will go full-time when we open up the new station. So that is really something that Alex, our quality and training, that's kind of his purview. He's been working pretty hard on that. So St. Patty's Day, we had put an extra truck on the streets, just based off of historical information. I think we ran 34 calls that day, so it wasn't overwhelming. It's higher than most, but it wasn't overwhelming. So that worked out really well. So, as you guys know, those block parties create.
You guys did a good job on that. I watched that in person and how you navigated through that, and I thought we all, including our CPD, commented on that.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's just. It's just a roadblock, quite frankly, and that's what it was. But then to get into a patient and then to bring them back out, and quite frankly, we in situations like that, we have to leave somebody, whether it's our CPD or with our ambulance, because they'll drive off. So even though we lock them, they'll still mess with them. So yeah, I mean, it's just the things that people don't realize how complex and complicated that really makes our life. So. So I started working on the EMS compliance with the billing program. I believe we'll sign an agreement with a company that will handle this for us. So the more we look into it, and for this, there was a lot of discussion throughout the country, because the federal government, while it doesn't say you shall do this, when you get audited and have problems, and they say, well, you should have done this, so you're going to be fine. So it's like, well, is it, so it really depends on the government's opinion on some of these. So, so really it's like, well, it doesn't say you have to have this. So, well, but best practice is you should have had this. So everybody is scrambling. This kind of came out of the blue. And so we're working through that. And it's the same thing with the HIPAA safety compliance. This is the first time we've ever seen a service get fined by the government for a compliance issue. And it was an agency, I believe it was out of Georgia. They left their tablet on the bumper of their vehicle and drove off. It had HIPAA information on it, but it was also password protected and all of that. They still fined them for it. And because it could have been a HIPAA violation. So people, everybody's going, whoa, wait a minute, where did that come from? But they were fine. So there's a lot of stuff going on there with those. So people are trying to work through it.
Oops. I got the wrong person. Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
Just on that, do you know how big the fine was? Was it 10,000?
I believe so. I've heard 8 to 10. Yes.
10 is usually it's 10 for every single HIPAA violation. So I wondered whether they stacked them up.
Right. Yeah. So, but the department in the readings had done everything appropriately. It was off. It was actually 2 password protected. One to get into the computer, but then one to get into the patient care report. And they still find them. Said, well, it could have been broken
Because it
into.
was completely out of their control.
Yeah. So yeah. So the department.
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that would
sure.
be the rationale.
Sure.
Because we know there really is nothing ever erased and there's nothing ever really completely protected.
Right. So, working on our 2024 budget, had our first meeting with Elizabeth last Friday. It went well. So we're going to come back together here in the probably next week. So, And then our state report writing software update, that's back on, because when you're talking about reports for EMS specifically, there's a lot of people nationally and at a state level who have their hands in it. Okay, so Department of Transportation at the state level, they have the ability to say, we want certain things to be in there so we can pull that data. Federally, the Department of Transportation, federally, CMS, Medicare, Medicaid, Health and Human Services, all say, hey, if you're upgrading these systems, this is information we want to have. So, and the state started rolling this out as part of a national rollout of this. They've got about 20% of the state on board, and then they've had to do a little bit of a pause because, okay, now we need to change things. So now we need to add and move things around. And we're right in the middle of building ours. So it's been a struggle for Alex and Josh because now they have to make changes because the playing field has changed, if you will. And I'll give you two examples. So when we get a call for service and our pagers go off, when we acknowledge the page and we go en route, that creates a run number. So, which is how the state of Kansas has always done, how most states do it. Well, now somebody from, we believe from the feds have said, well, once you're paged, that should create a run number. So that's a whole new system that, or a process that has to get put in place. And nobody knows, does that create a run number? Does it not? You know, for us, it'd be 1 or 2 calls a month. Wouldn't be a big deal. The state is going to set something up so we can filter that out. But that's one of those things. And then another one that is really going to be a headache is some states allow EMS systems to refuse a call. So Kansas does not allow that. If you're called, then you respond. So during the pandemic and post-pandemic, we're seeing a tremendous uptick in the number of calls departments, including ours, receive from other counties and hospitals throughout the Midwest, saying, hey, we have a patient at our hospital who needs to go to another hospital. Can you do it? And we say no. You know, we do our best to cover Dave Christie. We'll go to Geary Community Hospital to come into Manhattan. But outside of that, we say no. Well, the federal government says you need to start tracking those. And because they're looking at workforce shortages, whether it's from the hospital side, whether it's from the EMS side, you know, some of those different things. So they're saying you need to track that, but we don't know how, and we don't know what we're going to want, but you need to start putting something in place to track those. So the state is thinking it's going to be part of that report writing software update. Probably are not going to give them run numbers. Because that would be, we get anywhere from 2 to 10 of those calls a day. So from outside agencies wanting us. I mean, last week we had one from, I think it was McPherson Hospital to take a patient to KU in Kansas City. It's like, no, you know, we also had a call last week, going from a hospital in Wichita to a patient in, I want to say Oklahoma City. It's like, no. No, thank you for the call. No, but now they're saying we're going to have to start tracking those somehow. So it's, but they're wanting to look at the workforce shortage and how it's impacting patients. So I believe hospitals are having to start tracking if they're having to remove a patient because they don't have staff. So are they going to have to start tracking those and say, well, we had to move this patient because we couldn't take care of them because we didn't have staff. So there's the ball keeps moving. And so we're trying to play catch up with that. So it's another one of those things that just Alex and Josh are just pulling their hair out over. So we have a state board of EMS meeting next week, and I think we'll get some clarity on some of that. I think the board staff are going to come to the board and ask for some guidance. So. But never ends. There's always something. Education, Alex is still doing review of all calls, still meeting with our medical director. quarterly to go over certain calls, whether it's a kind of an unusual event or whether it's something that we're seeing more of, and hey, how do we want to let our staff know about this? They call that just-in-time training. So sometimes we bring in our staff on, off as they come off shift or on shift, bring them in and say, we need to talk about this. We need to train on this because this is what we're seeing. So they're also preparing for an active violence training that's going to be held in April at KSU PD. We still have one in July, a big one. But in April, KSU PD is going to actually be the lead law enforcement agency on this. So it's going to be smaller. But they've got a building that they just moved out of at K-State that's going to get demolished. So we're gonna do a training again. RCPD, Manhattan Fire, County Mass, KSU PD obviously are going to work through that. So that comes up here in just a couple of weeks. So. And then community outreach, still have car seat check lane one day a month at least. Sometimes agencies have to ask, hey, can you cover us this week or whatever, because we're still working through those. Had a couple CPR classes where agencies, usually it's like another medical office, a dentist office or something where they need their CPR training. So we try to accommodate those as we can. And we were recently at the MATC career fair. So we try to always attend those. Any questions about any of that? No. Okay. Break down our call volume. In February, it wasn't too terribly outside of the ordinary. You can see Saturdays and Wednesdays, and which is typical Wednesday because people have been trying to work and they don't feel well and such. And then Saturday just being the environment in which we live. Did I say that nicely?
Yeah.
Okay. Call volume by hour of the day. So, and then, like I said, the breakdown of the stations. Medic 51, we see this one from time to time. It's where they took care of a patient, they treated and released him on a scene. So that's what that was for. And do you have any questions? Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good week.
Okay, too. See you this afternoon.
Is that in person or all Zoom? I saw
County staff are in person,
where at.
Public Works basement.
Okay.
I believe VHS is going to be there in
I just
person.
saw something on Zoom, so I thought maybe the whole thing was Zoom. Okay.
No, I think it's my preference that county staff are always together for these, so we can have dialogue. So
Always whatever you would like.
you heard that. I'd like that to reflect in the minutes.
Oddly enough, he's the one that writes the minutes.
So David left early. Thanks, David.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So for our regular meetings, presentation. Do we have anything else?
Source up sheets. I know we had the township meeting, talked about what the options are, 'cause I just got a call this morning again.
Oh, really?
He said he's been in to see Hanson from Green Randolph. He went in, he came in and got the numbers of how much money they actually get. Or how much they get. How much number of roads, and then he looked at how many miles of roads that township has versus the other townships and how much they take. They don't take in enough money. It's a, they cover. We're looking at, we're even looking at what it takes legally to switch, or
Well, we kind of, yeah, we talked about that.
but are we gonna do anything or not?
Yes.
I think that's part of it, they don't take out enough money, which I agree somewhat, but here's the ironic thing is. you know, I've lived now where I've lived for 20 some odd years and from the time I moved there till about 10 years out. It was still Grant Township, and Grant Township contracted with the county to service the roads. With the same budgetary monies. But because the county had the staff and the equipment that were trained and knew when to add rock to keep it in shape, it's just like on an asphalt road, you know when to chip seal it to reduce the future maintenance, you know. My road was in great condition and I don't want an asphalt road, I just want rock, gravel on my road,
That's
so
what
it's
these
not
people are
drivable, I'm
talking
not
about.
putting ruts in the road. Like I challenged you one day to drive down my road and hit potholes, I still have that challenge.
Okay,
to
I
you.
have to do that.
Because, you know, these little bit of rains, there's water and there's potholes you can't miss without dodging it. It's a 1-lane road. And I think a lot of my neighbors aren't asking for Cadillac roads. We're just asking for roads with rock on them where you don't put ruts in them. And so my point is, you know, within a lesser budget than they have now, they're doing it. The problem we have in my township right now, Grant Township, is those that are on the board live in all the areas with the benefit district roads, the asphalt roads, and they are now stockpiling money so they can do something with their asphalt roads right now. So the rest of the gravel roads get neglected. And then on top of that, our township officer, because they certify their budgets with us, everything. Our township has $400 and some odd thousand in the bank because they're stockpiling that money. And my township officers are the highest paid township officers in the county because they get to designate their own amount they get paid. And so, yeah, Leon Hobson could tell you, you know, for 20 years, I've been an advocate of doing something. And it's different problems in all the townships, but generally where township officers live, their roads are in better shape than the rest of us. And it's a problem and there's no way to do it consistently unless it's managed under a county type system of some sorts. But I've been in favor of 20 years.
And the one option, I mean, they can do it because I said something about you can do it by petition by a certain percentage that has to be done. I said it'd be a full-time job for 6 months. The number of signatures is required. And his wife in the background says, I'll do it. I'm gonna start driving door to door. I said it's no, but also we can do it ourselves.
You can, I think that's what Clancy said.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about. I don't have the material in front of me. I don't want to get it wrong.
I remember reading that.
We could do it ourselves and then it's subject to a protest. It wouldn't have to go to the election unless we got a protest.
Right. That much is.
Protest petition, put it that way. But we need to look into and talk to Public Works and see what it would do, what it would take.
You know, what it would take, all of us to
Yeah,
do that.
And I think John has had experience with those type of systems. And so
because the one he was with before, that he had all the roads.
You may just want a work session where he comes back in and talks about it, having had the benefit of the conversation out of the township officers. Just a suggestion.
Probably be a good suggestion, I think, for Clancy and him to kind of tag team and Clancy review his analysis of legally what you have to do for it. And then also for John to give you an estimate of
What he thinks it would
based on my experience. Here's maybe what it will cost annually. And I've always been upfront with everyone from the beginning. It will be more expensive. It will be more expensive. There's no doubt about it. And all of us
But
have
it's
to
gonna be
remember at the
better.
township, it's not gonna happen overnight. You may not see significant improvements for 5 years, but you will see incremental because they will at least put a little gravel on the ones that are horrible. And, you know, the county would probably determine which ones need attention first and go from there, but it would be a system and it wouldn't happen overnight. The thing is this has been a problem for beyond 30 years in Island County.
Well, it just seems in the last 6 months, I'm getting more costs. That,
I get them regularly as well. And John says multiple times.
yeah,
a
he
week.
said he gets them all the time. Yeah. That why aren't you fixing his roads? They're not hard. And I explained to him, I said, the townships, and this guy said, yeah, I understand the township, you don't have authority to cover what townships do. And the township, you know, the townships have no levy, which would go away.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely, it would go away.
So there's some taxes take back to the staff, you know, our increase will be, it'll be more than what they're, you know, I guess that's what Element needs to look into to see. Except whatever money, what he thinks it would take. This is what the township is getting this much. How would that work?
Can we take that amount,
Right, you know.
Will that
that's-
cover it? Yeah.
Right, see how much.
That's okay.
Sure. And what you have to realize, and it was designed this way on purpose, is once you do that, and I know the preferred way, and I think the best way to do it as well, as John says, is just under the county umbrella. You don't have a separate fund for county road, you don't have a separate fund for township roads. I know John's against that, and it's a bookkeeping nightmare and nightmare on their end for maintenance, but it will cost more money. City residents of Manhattan will also pay taxes for that. But like it or not, that's how our tax system was developed. That's why all city residents pay all Riley County levies. It's a farm to market system. There's not enough value, not enough tax dollars out in the county to even address the county roads, let alone the township roads. So it was designed that way on purpose.
Yeah. Most of them, have 65, 35. 65 counties are in the county system.
The overwhelming majority are. Mhm.
It's interesting looking at the map, though, it's not necessarily this area, they're scattered. Who were left, who were not. And like I said, I guess it's been this way. Haven't been any change, one change in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
It's something like that, and that was kind of a default thing where they ended up with a rural highway system, but that was because of local issues. And this objection to the cities in that county, that particular county. Chase,
That
Was it
was Clay
Chase?
Center.
Was it Clay Center?
It was Clay County, and the thing is, they just had meetings, they never took it to a vote, they never had a petition, they just heard a bunch of concern from those residents in the city, so they didn't take it any farther.
Actually, I think. No, I'm looking into it. Yes, to see,
Yeah.
and it's not something we're gonna do tomorrow, but it's
No.
something we need to start looking into more to see. If, townships like this much money now, how much is it really gonna take for us to do it?
And staff's already done all of that work, already put together spreadsheets to show how much townships collect and all that. They've done that preparation for the township meeting, so that work has been done. The work that I know hasn't been done is an estimate from John on what it would cost to increase equipment, increase staff.
Yeah, and there's the whole deal that we have to buy, or counties or the township to turn over their money to us, but we have to use that money to earn any equipment we would have to, in effect, buy.
well, there's an appraisal process, but I mean, that's,
From everything I've heard, that the equipment that they have is scrap price.
The other one would have to
Until they
be
try and get rid of it.
Manhattan Township would have good equipment. That is probably about.
and then if there's a decision made to switch, then they just need to know part of the legal stuff on this, their legal background. It's
Yeah.
technical term is legal stuff. They'd have to know would be that once the change is made, then that's in place for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not flip back and forth, try it out for 6 months, see how it goes. No, and the reason is because during that time, there's things like turnover of equipment. And see, quite frankly, probably, I would say, to see how is it going. So you're not constantly going.
And I
back
say,
and
you think,
forth.
well, you're not gonna upgrade every township road in a year.
No.
Possible,
In 2 years,
impossible.
but, and they were talking about it, that they've got. Their road is down to where their cattle are, but. It's dirt road, it's dirt, and there's no gravel, they called, and at one point, he said they went, he bought a blade to put on this. Equipment. In which. Because the township reasonably agreed, they pay, if he put gravel on the road, they pay half of it. And he did, and they didn't. He said they don't have anything. I don't think he ever did, because he went back to him and said, it's gonna be this much, and they said, I don't know if he actually bought it, but they said, no, originally they said they pay half of it, and they said no.
Which township is that?
Ransom fee.
Yeah. I know I went down the road one time, it was right after my good truck, in Sherman Township in the winter, it was Sherman Township Road. Just driving, one of my future son-in-laws at the time, he's now my son-in-law. And it's a good thing I had four-wheel drive, because you could barely make it down the township road, it had no gravity at all. My truck, the white truck, was then brown. Because mine was flying. And there were ruts in their road.
Well, shall we get something scheduled in the future, maybe sometime, maybe how long, depending on how long it will take John to put numbers.
Yeah, I'll send an email out to Don and Clancy and Lori in our office and Bertrand, John's office are the ones that do all the background work and put all the numbers together with those guys. And whenever Clancy and John are both have time or available,
Yeah,
we'll have them schedule it.
all the legal research is done. I mean, I did that for the township offices.
That's the way the majority of this, the only part that I know hasn't been done is the projections on what it would cost and if it needed. Which will be
Well,
significant.
mileage.
Well,
Well, that was one of the things they asked them all to fill out was how many miles they actually have.
And we have what we think it is, but that's why the reason for that was to clarify, okay, is it accurate or not, to try and clarify.
I know there are some roads. No maintenance.
And it was verified because some townships share a road, so to make sure both of them aren't claiming that and we don't have more mile.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that was the reason for that survey to the township.
Is there a standard on the county or the township line though? Is it a standard?
Usually
way that
50-50,
Is it a 50-50? I didn't know this.
yeah. Or where the township line is, if it's all encompassed in those two townships, then it's 50-50. But if township puts it off at 25%, then accordingly.
And then what do they do when it's the state, well, we heard the county line between Riley and Marshall Township?
that
How
I
does that
don't
go? to?
That-
okay,
It used to be, what is the north or the east? That's what I did. I did a bunch of. So they did a bunch of stuff with the counties. And not that, I don't know if it was legal or just an accepted agreement. That whoever them was-
Kind of like fence viewing, meet in the middle and take,
Well,
your
the one,
way.
like I say, the one,
Yeah.
on the north always took care of it, and the one on the.
oh, really? Huh, hadn't heard that one.
It was at one time, and I was. 40 years ago, and I was in shopping, so.
And those laws haven't changed, I'm sure.
Well, it's I don't know if it's law or just. Accepted.
okay, anything else?
No.
Um,
Do we need to adjourn after?
Make a motion now, if you would, please. It's kind of hard to herd all of you together afterwards.
Go ahead and make a motion to adjourn the March 27th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
After
After the intergovernmental election, or is?
That's what you normally
Yeah.
do
after your
Sure.
governmental,
when you have another event.
After the intergovernmental election.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn after the intergovernmental election. All in favor?